quarterback losing his mind in front of the entire world, a number one wide receiver looking like a total bust, and of course, Arthur Smith. I'm covering all this and more in this week's Panic video. Hey, before I dive into all the players, if you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy yet, now is the time because they have a new customer special. Brock Purdy on Monday Night Football just needs to go higher than half a yard. You take that special, you pair it with any other line, you can triple your entry right away. And if you sign up for Underdog now using promo code ENDGAME, they are going to match your deposit dollar for dollar up to $500. And you can use the money they give you with that new customer special instantly. Triple your entry. If you haven't tried it yet, go to UnderdogFantasy.com, use promo code ENDGAME when you sign up, get that new customer special, and get that free money they're giving away. All right, let's start with Jacksonville versus New Orleans, and Derek Carr just out here losing his mind on national TV, yelling at everybody while he airmails balls into the 10th row of the stadium, expecting his wide receivers to dive and make plays into the stands. I don't know what's going on with Derek Carr. Look, last year I said I'm done with him. I am done with Derek Carr. Well, guess what? I'm still done with Derek Carr. Done with this guy. He's an overrated quarterback in real life and in fantasy. I will never suggest you start him again. I don't care if he's playing my high school alma mater. I will never suggest you start Derek Carr. Please don't start this guy ever again. Not worth the frustration. Also, don't panic on Chris Olave. He had 15 targets in this game. It just didn't happen for him. He's going to be better. He's going to be fine. It wasn't like he had a horrible game. Don't do something crazy and panic trade Chris Olave. He'll be fine. Now, on the Jacksonville side, it may be time to panic on Calvin Ridley. One catch? I mean, I knew this was a tough matchup against Marshawn Lattimore. I talked about it on our stream on Thursday. I said I liked Christian Kirk a lot more than Calvin Ridley in this game, but one catch? Even I didn't see that coming. That's now 4 games with single-digit PPR points this year for Calvin Ridley. That is not what you want from a guy you drafted second, third round in fantasy leagues. Panic level has to be high on Calvin Ridley. Atlanta versus Tampa Bay, and of course, this is the big one. This is the one that everybody was like, what is going on here? Because Bijan Robinson played 6 snaps in the first half, then didn't play in the second half until, 30 seconds left. They give him a carry for 3 yards when they're trying to get into field goal range. What? Very perplexing here. But look, we did hear at halftime, dealing with some kind of illness, not feeling well. And then Bijan Robinson himself said on the flight on Saturday night, he felt terrible, didn't get tested for COVID or a concussion, but just didn't feel good, didn't feel like himself. I don't know why they played him. Why didn't they just rule him out for us so we didn't have to start Bijan Robinson? But not ready to panic just because of this one game where he was obviously far from 100% health, whether it was a sickness or whatever it was. He had been playing almost 80% of the snaps prior to this game. Still think Bijan Robinson will be fine, but obviously today was very frustrating. Detroit versus Baltimore was also very frustrating if you trusted Jared Goff on the road against Baltimore. After showing that road Goff was no longer a thing last week, he said, ha ha ha, I am back. Unfortunately for anybody who started him this week, they were probably not laughing, but look, it's Jared Goff. This isn't the guy you're relying on to win you your week in or week out. Maybe we just got to go back to thinking like Jared Goff on the road in tough matchups. Don't start him. But look, Dan Campbell did tell us we'd see a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs, and we saw a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs, so that was great. And, the rest of this game was pretty much good for fantasy, so let's just move on. Next up, we got Washington against the Giants. And look, Sam Howell is continuing his assault on the record books. The record books for most sacks ever taken in a season. The guy currently has 34 sacks in 6 games. The record is David Carr, yes, the brother of Derek Carr, who, if he ever makes a comeback, please don't start him either. 76 sacks. He's already got 34 in 6 games. The Giants had 5 total sacks on the season coming into this game. They got 6. This is a disaster here as far as sacks go. Stream defenses against the Commanders and take all the sacks. And is it time to panic on Brian Robinson? I mean, sure, 2 weeks in a row, he's scored a touchdown. He's come through in fantasy, but he had less carries than Chris Rodriguez this week, and Chris Rodriguez actually looked kind of good. Could we be seeing a shift here, or at least some kind of split? Maybe. Not going to say I'm fully panicked on Brian Robinson, but I think now might be a good time to try to sell if you can. Buffalo versus New England, upset of the week. And if you started the Buffalo defense in a smash spot against Mac Jones and the Patriots, yeah, you're probably also upset, which is another reason why defenses need to be out of fantasy football. And then Ramondre Stevenson annoyingly got vultured by Ezekiel Elliott, but I mean, he was pretty good in this game. I mean, not good on the ground, but he's catching passes. He's getting involved in the passing game again. That is a good sign. And hey, maybe there are actually some receivers we can consider on the New England side now. Cleveland versus the Colts, and we go from the upset of the week to the shootout of the week? Yeah, just as we all expected. Cleveland and Indianapolis being the highest scoring game this week. But the big story here has to be Deshaun Watson, who left the game temporarily, got his shoulder looked at, went for a concussion protocol, and then they said, no, he's cleared, but we're not going to play him because we want to protect our franchise quarterback. This is a very weird situation here. Look, I'm done with Deshaun Watson as a QB1 in fantasy. There are better options. There are guys you could stream. This is just way too frustrating. I had a great week in fantasy, except for the two teams that I had Deshaun Watson on. Pretty much done with this guy in fantasy this year outside of Superflex leagues. And unfortunately, Deshaun Watson being out really hindered Amari Cooper because PJ Walker only completed 15 passes for 178 yards, despite this game being so high scoring. Amari Cooper may be one of these wide receivers this year that just gets saddled with terrible QB play all season long. He's actually playing really well, but his QBs aren't, so panic level has to be a bit high on Amari Cooper right now. And then Jerome Ford, who was looking like a great RB2, had given you some nice games, was giving you a huge game this week, hurt his ankle. Can we stop it with these injuries, please? It's like every single week with these injuries. Looks like it might be another high ankle sprain here. This is brutal. I guess all the Kareem Hunt truthers can celebrate their injury victory lap. Maybe it'll be Pierre Strong. Who knows? But brutal if you had Jerome Ford because he was looking like a solid every week RB2. But let's not end this game with a total downer. JT is back. 18 carries, 75 yards, and a touchdown. Also had 3 catches for over 40 yards. Yes, JT is back. Start him with confidence. The Raiders took on the Bears, and hey, congratulations to Tyson Bijan, his first NFL win. No, he didn't put up huge numbers, but he did what had to be done, and he got the win. Deontay Foreman, on the other hand, did put up huge numbers. Hats off to you if you started him. And look, DJ Moore was at least solid, so maybe we can feel good about him going forward for however long Justin Fields is out. On the Raiders side, here's something I didn't think I'd say. Can we please get Jimmy Garoppolo back? I mean, the targets were there for Devontae Adams, but the results weren't. Again, this is 3 weeks in a row where he hasn't really been elite. Let's hope Jimmy G is back next week. That's what they were saying, that he would be back next week. He still had a ton of targets. It was still basically him and Jacoby Myers getting all the targets. But man, we really need Jimmy G back. And you know who else we need back? 2022 Josh Jacobs, which is starting to look like one of the most flukiest seasons in NFL history. This guy has been incredibly inefficient this year, not scoring touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, so far, outside of a couple games, has been pretty busty. Not ready to go full-fledged panic mode on Josh Jacobs, but you got to be concerned. Let's get to the afternoon games, and Pittsburgh came out of the bye, and man, the offense actually looked better. They were running the ball well. They were throwing the ball well. Is this something we can rely on week to week? Not ready to go that far. Let's see how they look next week. And on the Rams side, for only the second time ever with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp scored less than 16 PPR points, and he got really outplayed by Puka Nacua pretty significantly in this game. But I mean, come on. Everybody's allowed to have down games. There is no panic on Cooper Kupp. Please, do not panic on Cooper Kupp. Green Bay versus Denver, and Green Bay did not come out of the bye looking better. They looked just as bad as they did going into the bye. A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones did not smash against this Denver run defense. Is it time to think maybe this defense has gotten better because Isaiah Pacheco didn't smash the week before either? I don't know, but this is really the last great chance for A.J. Dillon. Aaron Jones coming off that hamstring injury, a fantastic matchup. He didn't come through. It's probably over for A.J. Dillon, barring an Aaron Jones injury. Speaking of Aaron Jones, you got to be a little worried. He had that one monster week 1 game, and then he's been pretty bad. But look, the hamstring should get better. He's got a great matchup next week against Minnesota. If he doesn't come through against Minnesota next week, we are in full-fledged panic mode. But for now, we're just going to be a little worried. On the Denver side, Courtland Sutton once again outshined Jerry Jeudy. We might need to start looking at Courtland Sutton a little bit differently. But hey, Jerry Jeudy came through with a nice game. Not bad. You think Steve Smith noticed? Probably not. And look, still wasn't great for fantasy. Arizona took on Seattle, and can we please get Kyler Murray back next week? Joshua Dobbs is just killing Marquise Brown. Hollywood deserves much better than this. Please, Arizona, do the right thing. Give us Kyler Murray in week 8. And then this week was the Amari DeMarcado week. After everybody started him last week and got nothing and then dropped him this week, it suddenly was his backfield. Who knows what is going to happen going forward? This is just a mess. If you want to chance it with DeMarcado next week, be my guest. I'm not touching this backfield. For the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker had a good real-life day, but it didn't really translate to fantasy in what should have been a smash matchup. But I mean, come on. We're not panicking on Kenneth Walker. And hey, are we seeing the beginning of the Jackson Smith and Jigba breakout? Possibly. And then we finish with the Chargers versus the Chiefs, aka the Travis Kelce game. But look, on the Chargers side, what's going on over here? Keenan Allen finally had a down game, but look, it happens again. He wasn't horrible. He just wasn't great in what we thought was going to be a good matchup. There is no panic here on Keenan Allen. Now, Austin Eckler, on the other hand, this is two pretty bad games since coming back from that ankle injury. Are we starting to get a little worried? Possibly. But look, he's Austin Eckler. He is coming back from that ankle injury. Maybe the ankle is far from 100%. Better days will be ahead for Austin Eckler. And if he doesn't come through next week against the Bears, we might need to be a lot nervous. Oh, and hey, a Joshua Kelly long touchdown. The week nobody started you. Yeah, thanks for nothing.